Most people assume limited edition means exactly that the materials are rare, that the factory can only produce so many, that Nike physically cannot make more Air Jordans because there's some ingredient, some process, some bottleneck that makes it impossible. That's what makes it feel special, and that's the story we tell ourselves, but it's completely made up. Nike could make 10 million pairs of any shoe they want, Supreme could restock every hoodie that sells out in 30 seconds, and Stanley could produce winter pink tumblers year round without breaking a sweat, but they won't, because the moment they do, the moment supply meets demand and the magic dies, the queue disappears, the resale market collapses, and a $400 hoodie becomes a $40 hoodie overnight. The scarcity was never about supply, it was always about psychology, and the brands that figured this out first, they built some of the most valuable empires in modern business. This is the fake scarcity playbook. Let's get into it. Before we get to Supreme, Nike and Stanley Cups, we need to understand what's actually happening in the human brain, because without that, none of this makes sense. In 1975, two psychologists named Stephen Wirtschel and Jack Brem ran a simple experiment. They put cookies in two jars. One jar had 10 cookies, the other had 2. Same cookies, same recipe, same taste. But people consistently rated the cookies from the nearly empty jar as better, more desirable, and worth more. Nothing about the cookies had changed, only the perceived availability. This is called scarcity bias, and it's one of the most deeply wired instincts in the human brain. I mean, it makes sense. For most of human history, scarcity meant something real. Food running out was a crisis. Resources disappearing was life or death. So our brains evolved to treat rare things as inherently more valuable, and to feel urgency when supply looks limited. The problem for us, and the opportunity for brands, is that our brains can't tell the difference between real scarcity and manufactured scarcity. A product genuinely running out and a product artificially limited to 500 units trigger almost identical responses. The anxiety is the same, the urgency is the same, the perceived value is the exact same. Some brands stumble onto this by accident, and others engineered it from day one. One of those brands being Supreme. It's 1994. James Jebbia opens a small skate shop on Lafayette Street in downtown Manhattan. The store is called Supreme. The space is designed around skaters and not the clothes. The racks are pushed to the edges so people can actually skate inside. It's anti-retail, almost aggressively so. James starts making his own t-shirts and hoodies. Small runs, simple designs, a red box with white text, nothing complicated. But here's what he does differently from every other clothing brand on earth. He decides never to make enough. Not because he can't, because he won't. Every week, what Supreme calls a drop, a small selection of new items goes on sale. Limited quantities, no restock. When it's gone forever. At first this just builds word of mouth in the New York skate scene, but then something unexpected happens. The waiting list gets longer than the supply. And that gap between how many people want something and how many people can have it turns out to be the most powerful marketing tool ever created. Because now, owning a Supreme piece doesn't just mean you bought a hoodie, it means you won. You were fast enough, connected enough, in the know enough. The product becomes a trophy. Supreme didn't create a brand, they created a game, and the scarcity was the game mechanic. By the 2010s, Supreme drops were causing queues around the block in New York, London, Tokyo, and Paris. Items were selling out in seconds online, and the resale market exploded. A $48 t-shirt was flipping for $400. A brick, a literal red brick with the Supreme logo, sold for $1,000. In 2017, the Carlyle Group valued Supreme at $1 billion, and in 2020, VF Corporation bought it for $2.1 billion. For a brand that had never run a sale, was bought for $2.1 billion. Nike watched what Supreme was doing and recognized something fundamental. They already had the most iconic sneakers in the world, the Air Jordan 1, the Air Force 1, the Dunk, shoes that had defined culture for decades, but they were selling them at scale to everyone all the time. And when something is available to everyone all the time, it stops feeling special. So Nike quietly changed the model. Instead of making millions of every colorway and restocking shelves when inventory ran low, they started releasing specific versions in tiny quantities, collaborations with artists, designers, and other brands, limited runs of 500 pairs, 200 pairs, and sometimes even 50 pairs. The Sneakers app, Nike's dedicated sneaker release platform, became the arena where this played out. Every Thursday, a new drop, a countdown timer, a digital queue, with odds worse than a lottery. And just like Supreme, the waiting transformed the product. Sneakers that cost $120 retail were trading on StockX, a dedicated sneaker resale marketplace, for $600, $800, and even $2,000 a pair A pair of Nike Air Yeezy 2s sold at auction in 2021 for $1.8 million. Nike wasn't just selling footwear anymore, they were running a speculation market, and they were doing it intentionally. The resale economy around Nike products is now estimated to be worth over $6 billion annually, and Nike doesn't capture most of that money directly, but they don't need to, because every $800 resale transaction is an advertisement. It tells people, this is what these shoes are worth, which makes the next drop even more desirable, filling the queue faster and making the next limited edition release sell out in seconds. Now here's where the story gets really modern. Because Supreme built scarcity from scratch, Nike engineered it deliberately over decades, but Stanley stumbled into it almost by accident. And what happened next is one of the most fascinating case studies in recent consumer behaviour. Stanley was founded in 1913. For most of its history, it made tough, functional vacuum flasks for construction workers. They had zero fashion credibility. But then in 2019, a small group of female lifestyle bloggers called The Buy Guide posted about the Stanley Quencher, a 40-ounce tumbler, making it sell out immediately. Stanley's own executives were surprised. This wasn't their target market at all. Instead of ignoring it, Stanley's new president, Terence Reilly, did something smart. He leaned in completely. He started releasing the Quencher in new colours, seasonal colours, collaboration colours, Target exclusive colours, and limited runs that could only be found in one store for 1 week. The TikTok algorithm did the rest. Stanley Cup haul videos went viral. Colour collection videos went viral. Videos of people filming the Target shelf being restocked at 7 AM before the store was even open went viral. Stanley's annual revenue went from $70 million in 2019 to over $750 million in 2023. 10 times in 4 years. Same product, different colour, available for 6 weeks only. Stanley didn't change what they made. They changed how scarce it felt, and the market responded like it was Supreme all over again. The cups were being resold on eBay. People were camping outside Target, and a car fire went viral because the Stanley Cup survived. Free advertising, billions of impressions, because the scarcity made people care enough to make content about it. Supreme, Nike, Stanley. 3 completely different companies, different products, different audiences, but the same playbook. Make less than demand and let the gap do the work. None of it requires a massive budget or a famous name. Stanley was a 110-year-old thermos company before any of this happened. The playbook works, regardless of where you're starting from, as long as you're willing to resist the temptation to just make more. That's the counterintuitive truth at the heart of all of this. In business, we all think to grow means more supply, more distribution, and more availability. Reach everyone and sell everything. But some of the most valuable brands in the world grew by doing the complete opposite, by choosing, deliberately, to leave people wanting. The scarcity might be fake, but the desire it creates is completely real. And that desire, that's worth billions. The next time you feel that pull, that sudden urgency to buy something before it's gone, you'll know exactly what's happening. You're not shopping, you're being played brilliantly.